Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lorepod podcast. I'm going to be your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a spoiler episode. So if you are a fan of Invincilble, maybe you're reading the comics, or more importantly, maybe you're actually watching the show, because why the fuck are you not? And you want to know all about Robot. Well, guess what here? You're going to learn all about him, so be sure to, you're going to learn a little bit that's somewhat the same, and a lot of things for the future yet to come of this amazing character in Invincilble. So if you don't want to know what happens, then click off. But unless you're a nosy fuck, then let's keep going. Alrighty, so again, I'm going to be host Dakota Morgan, coming from Phoenix, Arizona. Business out of the way first, because this is going to be a very long episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitch at CodaRex97, Instagram at CodaRex97, and Twitch Dakota_Morgan3. And if you're on the YouTube page, it's Dakota Morgan, and be sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below. Okay, business out of the way, because again, this is going to be a very long episode. I am not looking forward to the editing. So we're going to be talking about an Invincilble comic history here of Robot, of course, Rudolph Connors. Now, at first, he was on the Teen Team, kind of like their version of Teen Titans, but was thought to be just a super smart robot who decided to dedicate himself to the power of good and become a hero, right? Because in this world, it's all kind of like heroes and villains sort of shit. Now, of course, he helped Mark Grayson, aka Invincible, plus the Teen Team take on problems after the Guardians were murdered by Omni-Man. Of course, we already know that. Caesar, the leader of the Global Defense Association, or the GDA, asked him to join the Guardians of the Globe, basically their version of the Avengers / JLA. Now, he does agree, though, to that and decides to disband the Teen Team and starts recruiting for the Guardian. Rexplode, of course, who, like, heats objects up and causes them to explode. Gambit-esque, Black Samson, Shrinking Ray, Monster Girl, and Duplicate are chosen to be on the Guardians of the Globe. But Mark himself, though, does turn down the team. Now, after some time and some medium successes and shit, the government does say that Robot needs to step it up as team leader. Now, the second Flaxon invasion here, and this is the aliens that invade from another dimension, where they realize really quickly here that they actually age incredibly fast to death as soon as they enter ours, and they've invaded a few different times. This is going to be the second one, of course, and each one is a little bit worse than the other one. Now, this has been started, but of course, so Robot is able to repel them by using their tech against them to make them retreat. Now, flash forward a little bit here. After Omni-Man leaves Earth due to his fight with his son Mark, Cecil orders Immortal, who was recently brought back from the dead, to help actually lead with Robot. And then the new hero Bulletproof is brought onto the team, the one in the orange suit. That is because they want Robot to have a little bit of help there, and they want really Immortal to be in charge. It might be a robotist thing, though, or one might say robotism. Now, Monster Girl, who is this little girl who can transform into this giant ogre-looking monster thing, she's actually 29, but she looks like a little girl. That is because due to her powers, she actually ages backwards every time she uses her powers. Now, her and Robot have discussions, and Robot promises to help Monster Girl for her condition, actually, and try to help her out. That way she doesn't, like, age into a baby. Now, an alien invasion begins, and there's loads of damage. I know, this sounds like another day that ends a Y in this world. Cecil then demotes Robot, though, after this, and makes Immortal in charge, but Robot is allowed to stay on the team. There is a little bit of hints there that was planned by Cecil in order to help demote Robot and give a proper excuse. Now, Immortal's in charge, the man who's been around forever. He's got the blue and white yellow suit there, got the big ass beard. He was Abe Lincoln apparently or some shit. Now, Immortal's first mission has Black Samson and Bulletproof heavily injured by Battle Cat, the giant white lion-esque kitty thing who's like, I require a real fight. Yeah, that guy. And we do see this because this was in that Penthouse episode from way back when. I also think there's a Battle Cat series now as well. I think there's a we may cover that comic. I actually gotta read that comic. Now, continues helping Monster Girl, though, with a suit to help her actually not need to transform and worsen her condition. Of course, so this is only gonna last a little bit of time there because, you know, you live in a world of superpower, alien magic, and hell and stuff. And it's good luck with the suit. It's like very few people in this world who can have a suit. Now, Rex is actually dumped by Duplicate, and Rex actually confides in Robot about this here. And Robot actually then uses his fingers and says, oh, sorry, I accidentally dusted on all my strength, and takes a DNA sample from Rex. Now, the Mauler twins, the two giant hulking blue twins there who are derpy, but then also really good at genetics. Well, Robot is actually meeting with them because he wants a clone. He recruits them for a job because he wants to create a clone body of Rex using his DNA. And this is where we find out that Robot isn't actually just a super smart AI robot. He is actually Rudolph Connors, and the robot body is a drone. And Rudolph is actually in a tube, and he's like a demorphed baby-esque looking body, like he's like a baby raisin. And he's in there because he's got a rare condition. I mean, he's got a lot of conditions apparently, but he is in the one because the air actually burns his skin. But he's incredibly smart, and this is where we find out that he's able to actually control the drones via his brain. Now, the twins say they can do it, but the body will have in it just an exact copy of the brain, and the real Rudolph will still be alive and his brain will be in there. They go through the whole procedure there, and the new body actually, the new Rudolph actually kills old one at the old one's request at this point. And then he arrests the twins. Thank you guys. Thank you for doing this so much. No one can know about this, and I'm gonna arrest you. With a new powered drone, of course. But he actually doesn't keep it a secret. He immediately tells the team what happened. Tells them the whole situation there, and then actually has a romantic bonding there with Monster Girl. I should also make it clear, though, this body isn't old. This body is around the same age as Monster Girl, making it kind of creepy and shit, though, too. Don't worry, things do age up, but fuck, it's a little weird at first. But then again, they both old. They just are stuck in young bodies. Fair enough. Now, he can pilot multiple drones, though, with his brain, of course, now, too. He has some implants in there and stuff. He can control and monitor them with his brain. Then a ship arrives from Mars, where we do know that there are aliens. And hell, one of the Guardians has actually become Martian in there, too, transforming, stretching, and like, it's like Mr. Fantastic and Martian Manhunter combined in one. Now, there's these brain squids. This is a brain with a bunch of tentacles in there that actually will get a human body there and have a hive mind, and they're called the Sequin. And they actually try to invade Earth. Now, at the same time as this, though, again, this is different from the show because this was two very separate events, but in the same time, Rex and Duplicate take down the Lizard League, but Duplicate quote-unquote dies, making Immortal retire. And that does make Robot the team lead again. Now, this is a little bit of in-between time, though, between the first Sequin attack, but due to Cecil and Mark's fight, the Guardians actually break up, and this is when Mark and Cecil decide to go head-to-head because of stuff happening there, of villains being used to make the robotic Frankenstein hybrid things. So the Guardians are really kind of just broken up into different pieces here. Now, Robot actually gets a quote-unquote cure for Monster Girl, and it's going to be a belt that actually stores her exact DNA in before the transformation. Somehow still keeping her around. The specifics of it are really weird, but it's supposed to like keep her at her age, sort of thing. Now, Ree actually forms the team. You can't really say that one drunk or high, but agrees they need a new name due to most of the people on there not being teenagers anymore. Now, the Invincilble War starts where of course, Mark has his with Langstrom, a guy who can make portals into other multiverses. He invades with different evil versions of Mark that cause havoc and thousands die. Tens of thousands, I actually think. Cities are just leveled. Now, Rex actually does sacrifice himself against a Mark variant by blowing himself up. So yes, that is true. That does happen in the books as well as the TV show where we all fucking cried. Now, Rudolph then actually names himself Rex in order to honor him. Still a weird decision by him. And of course, the red flags are still really being shown here by Robot of like, hey, what's going on? Now, the sequence did attack again, though. Now, Robot as Rex went underground to find a secret hive mind, a secondary hive mind brain that they actually had, because we thought it was going to be the astronaut that was in charge of the Mars mission way back when, who got infected and brought the sequence to Earth. But there was another mind in there as well, and Rex did believe it, so he went without a suit into the sewers to find this. He almost died, but it wasn't until Mark killed the main host that actually ended it. But later on, after the battle, while, Rex, Rudolph, or yeah, we'll say this Rex now. So if I say Rex, that's why you know it's Robot. Rex actually was in the shower, and one of the sequins jumped out of his mouth, climbed out of his stomach and so too, and he killed it, stopping the invasion for good. Now, the third Flaxen invasion happens. These guys just don't fucking quit. And return to the fight, and it is an intense battle, and they were able to close the portal, but Rex and Monster Girl get trapped on the other fucking side in their dimension. Now, the Flaxens actually did hold them as prisoners for 4 years. Well, they used Robot for his info, and then they also used Monster Girl as like a gladiator kind of thing. And during this time, they actually found out that the opposite happens to them in the Flaxen dimension. While the Flaxens in our universe would actually age up and shit like that, in theirs, they barely age. They don't really age at all. So that is a huge thing about it. They don't age, so it's just like the complete opposite. In total, for a while there, we're going to flash forward, they're now being held there for 20 years. Now, before their first escape failed, and so then what happened was that they were forcing Monster Girl and Robot to actually rebuild the cities once destroyed by Omni-Man during the first Flaxen invasion, where he went through the portal and then obliterated their species and used them to actually get back home. Kind of like as a fuck you for invading sort of thing. Now we flash forward to 100 years later. Robot and Monster Girl start a rebellion using the slave workers and some of the royal family that's keeping them prisoner. Now Rex becomes their leader in the fight in 200-year-long war called the Great War of Independence. This has got to do some serious fucking mental damage on you, though. Could you imagine? How the hell do you go back home to Earth and then you start aging? Like, how the hell do you do that? Also, how do you keep a relationship together for that long a time? What if I never know? I say this as a single guy. Now, Monster Girl wants to go home, but Robot actually believes that if they were to leave, the Flaxens will undo their hard work, leaving them to attack Earth yet again. Now, they do win the war, though, in the end, and make Rex Emperor and Monster Girl the Queen. They rebuild the Flaxen society, actually creating a utopia. Now, the Zaxel family, who were the royal family in charge that did all this stupid shit, and in general, there were actually being helped by Monster Girl on the side, who she thought were actually, because they were treated unfairly. 200-year-long war. Yeah, no, I'm gonna obliterate the other side. I'm not gonna really be like, and they need to be treated equal. No. No. Now, Rex does find out about this, though, and him and Monster Girl actually have a falling out, and they don't talk for decades, but then eventually do come back together. Now, the Zaxel family then wants to invade Earth again, and that's why we should probably obliterate this family, but Monster Girl is able to stop them, reconnecting with Robot after he was thrown in jail by this too, because Zaxel family was able to. This is a whole Game of Thrones fucking shit happening here on this side. Now, Monster Girl, though, does come clean the Robot and did mention their time not talking that she had an affair, and you do actually see it. She transformed into the big green guy there and actually slept then with one of the Flaxen family members there. Now, Rex is heartbroken, because how the fuck would you not be, and says it's actually time to go back to Earth. He's like, all right, you cheated on me, we're going back to Earth. I'm done with this shit. Like, I ain't dealing with this. I love that so much. But beforehand, he actually orders his people to kill all the Zaxel family and any supporters. They're just kill them all. Now, when they return to Earth, they actually do lie about how long they were actually gone for, and they say, oh, it's about 12 years, but in total, they were gone about 1,000 years. Now, later on here, the Flaxens come back to Earth and actually invade London, which is shocking to Rex because he said no to all this and he thought they solved this problem. But he finds out that there's a new leader, and that new leader is this giant Hulkstein Flaxen and is actually the offspring of Monster Girl in the affair. Now, he actually gave that final order to end the family there, end that royal family, but he also knew that if he gave that order, then Monster Girl's affair baby would be obliterated because he knew about the child already. Now, it's named Monax, but it is actually defeated and imprisoned. Now, there is an environmental villain named Dinosaurus, and yes, of course, he does look like a red dinosaur. He does actually detonate bombs in Greenland, causing massive flooding globally. And as a lot of damage is happening, Robot actually controls the tides due to 2 artificial moon he built, and that actually stops the tides, of course, and stops the damage from happening, but it does also make it a home base now for Robot. Now, Angstrom is still alive, though, at this point. Now, he's not dead, so we'll see how the show does this, but Robot actually helps Mark win against Angstrom, but they go into another universe and killing him. Now, Robot actually does something kind of wild here. He leaves Invincilble stranded in this other universe and goes back home. Now, when Robot returns, he says, oh, Mark was killed in this other universe, but Angstrom is dead too, so they just killed each other in battle. And then he says he needs to start building bigger and better drones in order to combat all these like wild, insane threats. The Viltrumites, all this stuff happening here. And yes, at the time, the Viltrumites are going to be living here on Earth. Now, Mark does return months later, and Robot begins a secret conquest of Earth. It was kind of secret, but then he's like, all right, fuck it. Mark's back here. My plan's ruined. All right, initiate Order 66. And just kills Cecil in front of Mark, slits his throat, and then goes to Adam Eve, his girlfriend / really wife, and actually cuts her fucking leg off as a sign of force and to say, don't do anything to me, Mark. Like, just cuts her leg off, and you see it happen too. Now, when he tries to punch one of the new drones, he finds out that it actually sends out a pulse that disrupts his equilibrium, throwing him off and puts him in extreme amount of pain. Now, after Mark tried battling him, he did realize that Rex has won. There's nothing he's going to be able to do here, and Rex goes on a rampage and starts killing many villains, of course, but any heroes that fight back, he starts killing them. Like, a lot of heroes do die from this. Now, Monster Girl is having no fucking wins over this. She wants nothing to do with this, so they actually battle it out in space there, and until he actually throws her out of an airlock where she's about to be died, but she is rescued by the Viltrumite Anissa, the one with the short hair that does things to Mark, and the one we all want as a baddie mommy. Like, she actually rescues her before she's able to, like, suffocate and die in space. And she's one of the many Viltrumites at this point that are living on Earth, Earth that are probably like, yo, Earth is wild. They're probably really realizing how insane Earth is at this point. Now, Robot knows about them, of course, because he has drones and shit everywhere, and he does form a truce with the heroes of Earth and the Viltrumites. Mark then decides to leave Earth because they can't live on Earth under Rex's rule, but he does understand that they actually do have total control. Now, as Mark does leave with Eve, though. Robot then helps forces of Earth repel Grand Regent Thrag, who was gone for a while, and return because after he went to the bug planet where the kids will age, accelerate, and stuff like that too, aka Oliver, Mark's brother, he went there and made an army of a couple thousand kids. So he actually had a massive force of the half-breed children there to try to take over Earth and the Viltrumites and shit over there on Earth. Now, Robot does use his forces and with the Viltrumites here to help defeat Thrag when battling on the surface of the sun. That's right, so Robot and Mark actually do team up there, probably with a little bit of bumps along the way, and they battle it out on the surface of the sun there. Now, Mark is then made after the win here the Viltrumite leader, but Robot feels he will use the Viltrumites and their human hybrid kids that are left over on Earth to overthrow him, so he kidnaps all the human hybrid kids from the Viltrumites that were living there, and that's gonna go well because, of course, why would you fucking do that? Now, there's forces that actually have a gather together there to get these kids back, and it's a massive battle against Robot and his forces here with everybody and everything, and it's called the Robot War, and they're actually able to convince all the forces to attack to overthrow Robot, including his own troops. And due to a little bit of strategic analysis, Mark is able to find out that Rex is in one of his drones, and that's how he's able to control him on the battlefield and shit. So he's able to figure out which one it is and actually flies him far out in the space so he can't control the other drones on Earth. And Rex does talk to Mark and says, hey, if you kill me, we'll do all the work I have done to make this a peaceful planet. Now, Mark kind of says, all right, I guess so. And then it's like, you helped me out there a little bit, but also you're an asshole. So he kills his body. He kills Rex's body, but he takes the brain to a communication device here that allow them to talk to the brain and the brain to talk to them, but not allow him to control any robots or anything like that too, or able to hack into anything there to actually make him a threat. And Robot also does think that Robot Rex is actually able to really communicate with them and say, hey, I actually think this is a better thing for me anyway because it can stop me and I'm kind of an asshole, and that this is the perfect plan for him. And so yeah, that is the complete comic book history of Robot in the Invincible comics there. Hopefully you enjoyed this and hopefully you learned a little bit here, and my god, I can't wait to see this in the show in the next seasons or so. I mean, they're clearly doing their own thing, but also still doing the comic books, and you're really been teeing this whole thing up here too. But if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe for more Lorepod podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I've been hosted Conan Morgan, and of course, as always, everyone, stay creative.